Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. How you doing?
What's going on, man? I've been doing all right. For the most part, same stuff. Work been a little bit on and off. Like some days busier than others. Mostly just pulling through. Pretty crazy. We're already about to be in July. I feel like the month of June went by really fast, and quite honestly, the year has been going by pretty fast also. Um, but we're about to But we just had the draft. We're about to have free agency soon, and then also summer league, and then later in the summer Olympics. So definitely a lot to look forward to in the off season. Um, have you? How are you doing?
Tired. I've been doing a good job exercising every day, which is one of my goals for this summer, just to be more active and stuff. But that has led to me being very tired at the moment and very sore. But I'm a pull through. I'm a pull through. Other than that, I got new glasses today. I got new glasses. I got new sunglasses as well. Uh, that have my prescription, so I'm happy about that. And I'll be hanging out with family tomorrow, eating burgers, going to the pool to celebrate my sister's birthday. So that should be pretty fun.
Sounds dope. Happy birthday to your sister, by the way.
Thanks, thanks. But yeah, as you said, free agency is right around the corner. I believe is does it start Sunday? This Sunday?
I think I think so. Yeah, June 30th, I believe. So I think it's Sunday.
So it starts June 30th. This episode should be up on July 1st. So basically, the goal for this episode is to talk about free agency, talk about the biggest names in this like free agency, and we're gonna try our best to predict where these guys are going. But it's pretty hard to do that, especially since you have to uh, get like money involved as well, cap space, stuff like that. So it could get pretty complicated, but we'll try our best. We will start off with news. So we got a lot of trades to talk about, which have been pretty exciting actually. Like last week, we talked
Yeah.
about the Caruso Giddy trade. You could check out our episode on that. I've been doing a good job on TikTok and Shorts just to give like my brief, like very short opinions on some of these trades and some of the news that has happened. Other than the trades, we will be talking about the draft. And you know what? I forgot to add something to the list. But we will be talking about the Andrew Wiggins situation if you're familiar with it. Have you heard about it?
Oh, yeah. I heard about it.
Okay, we will talk
I
about
guess
that
we'll
soon.
speak on it later.
Yeah, we'll
But yeah,
speak on it later. But let's start with the trades. I think that is one of the more interesting topics, and we will be grading each of these trades as we talk about them. And I think we should start with the biggest one, which is the Knicks and the Nets doing a little swap, a little trade, and the Knicks are essentially getting Mikal Bridges and sending hella picks to the Nets. The Nets will also get Bojan Bogdanovic, a certified bucket. He's been on my fantasy team before, so I've always been a fan of him. So yeah, the the Nets will be getting four unprotected first round picks, a protected first round pick via the Bucks, an unprotected pick swap, and a second rounder, according to ESPN. So again, a lot of picks going the Nets' way, and a bucket with Bogdanovich. That's what the Nets are getting, and the Knicks are, they're trying to complete the Infinity Stones. They're trying to complete all the. They're trying to collect all the Villanova boys and utilizing the power of friendship in order to create one of the best teams in the East. And this has me excited, but I'll let you have a turn. And what do you think about this trade? And who do you think won this trade? Do you think it's a win-win situation? What do you believe?
So, to start, I think that this first off, this trade definitely really caught me off guard. I mean, you don't really expect the Nets to want to trade one of their top players to the Knicks, knowing that they are in-state rivals. Um, but they did it, and it's cool that they are able to set the rivalry aside in a way that can pretty much help both sides. Um, I think that at the end of the day, it was for sure a win-win situation because Nets are trying to go rebuild, Knicks are trying to go as a real contender. Overall, though, I think definitely the Knicks are the bigger winners because they got the bigger fish in the trade. So, yeah, I would say definitely the Knicks got the higher end, but both did really good. And obviously, for the Nets' sake, they want to go into a rebuild. So by doing so via this trade, they were able to get hella draft picks, four unprotected first round picks, one protected first round pick, and also pick swap option and a second rounder. So pretty good haul there. And pretty much now that leaves the table that the Nets might just have a fire sale now. Now that they got rid of Mikal Bridges, probably next in line will be Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, maybe Cam Thomas. So, yeah, definitely there will be teams calling the Nets for sure. Hopefully, the Lakers can try to get one of those guys. That would be helpful. But, yeah, overall, I would say if I were to give grades for these two teams, um, I would say Knicks for sure get an A for the trade because they got a really good player. And though they did give up a good amount of picks, honestly, I don't think it really matters because they're trying to compete now. Um, and then as far as the Nets go, I must say that they get I'll say B plus, and I will say I would give them an A because they got what they wanted heading in the rebuild direction and getting hella picks. But because they got rid of a really good player, um, I think it's hard to put the team losing a really good player in the A tier. So I just say B plus. They got what they wanted. They got a good amount of compensation for it, but they did lose a really good player. So overall, I would say both teams definitely benefited from the trade.
Yeah,
Memo, any personal thoughts?
I definitely agree. I think this is great for the Knicks. Not only the Villanova boys who have been friends for years are finally gonna be playing together in the NBA. That's pretty cool. As soon as that happened, they were on FaceTime together, which was cool to see. So not only is that cool, but Mikal Bridges is a great player. He doesn't. To me, he no longer has that like all star ceiling, but he is still one of the best like role players in the league. So adding him to the roster is definitely gonna help, especially since we know that the Celtics won their chip through having some elite forwards that can not only score but defend. The Knicks kind of have their own version with Mikal Bridges and now OG, who just signed an extension to the Knicks, which we could talk about soon. But in regards to grades, I'm gonna be similar to you. I definitely will give a B plus to the Nets. I think this is great for their long term future. You know, they're trying to take now so they could improve their roster, which they should have done maybe a couple years ago. instead of trying to force Mikal Bridges to be like a star, which he really couldn't, like he just couldn't do. But with that said, now they're tanking. Now they've got lots of picks, and I think that's great for them. So B plus for them, and then I'll say A minus for the Knicks. So just slightly better because in the short term future, this is great. This is definitely going to elevate their team to become one of the best in the East. Most likely the second best team in the East, right behind the Celtics. The only thing is, I do think they overpaid for Mikal Bridges, but if you're gonna trade with your rivals, that's what's gonna happen essentially. So I think it's a lot of picks for Mikal Bridges, who's not even an All Star, maybe a fringe All Star one day, but uh, he's just a really good 3 and D guy essentially. And you're throwing this many picks at him is kind of crazy. But at the end of the day, this will help the Knicks a lot. As a lot of people are saying, the Knicks might win a chip with a super role player team. They got some of the best role players in the league, including OG, who just signed to the Knicks, or not signed, he signed an extension to the Knicks. Uh,
Extension.
yeah. So this actually surprised me, especially after the trade. I
Same.
thought after the trade they will no longer go for OG and maybe try to keep Isaiah Hartenstein, which I believe was the right move. I felt like that center position is lacking, and if you lose Isaiah for nothing, then that's gonna be tragic. Which most likely will happen. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'll let you go because I know you have similar thoughts as well, right?
Definitely. Honestly, I thought he was gone after they traded for McHale. Um, Obviously they play the same position, similarly used, and obviously McHale is a better version than OG. So definitely shocked there, and I agree. I feel like they should have better better investment to try to extend Hartenstein because they really need a center to keep everything intact, knowing that Isaiah Hartenstein is a really good center. Mitchell Robinson is currently injured. You don't know how long it will take him to fully recover. Um, so very low chance that they'll bring him back. Seems like he'll probably walk, and that's definitely really rough for them. Um, but if I were to guess, I think probably the reason why the Knicks chose to extend him is because that they gave up a lot to get him. That they don't want to just have that go to waste. Like you traded for a guy only for giving up a lot of pieces just for half a season. That would definitely also be wasteful for sure. So I guess that's
Yeah,
probably the reason why they wanna. That's probably the reason why they didn't want to let him walk after just half a season. But so I understand it. But at the end of the day, if they're gonna lose Isaiah Hartenstein, that's definitely a tough blow. So that would definitely be if a missing void that the Knicks will have to address, assuming that they lose him because the center position. Um, I feel like that at the moment is like their weak spot on the team because like for the most part their
hmm
team is pretty good like depth wise. And well, last season, aka the season that just finished, um, the Knicks had a pretty good team, and if they would have not been banged up, I mean, I've said this several times already, but I feel like they could have had a chance to at least challenge the Celtics. So now that they get Mikal Bridges, I think it would definitely help their cause that they get another really good microwave scorer. But we'll see what happens with their addressing of the center position if they're unable to bring back Isaiah. Um, Overall, I guess good for them. They didn't lose OG for nothing after just half a season. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and this does like with the mystery behind what the center position is gonna be like for the Knicks. It does make me wonder what their like starting lineup would be, because uh, Julius Randle is still on the team, so uh,
Yeah.
we have to implement him in the lineup. Obviously, Jalen Brunson. Obviously, Mikal Bridges. And you paid a lot of money for OG, so he's got to be starting. Is is Mikal gonna be like the shooting guard, like a very tall shooting guard, and then OG small forward, something like that? Is that how we're gonna roll?
That could happen. Or if they want, maybe they can have they could have Mikal play the six man like he did on the Suns. Maybe if they want.
But when he
Actually,
was
no,
good,
he
he was
started on the
starting.
Suns.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he started. But who knows? Maybe one of those guys will be pushed to the bench. Um, but honestly, like I feel like it would be better if one of those guys does come off the
Fit
bench because
wise, yeah.
the second unit will need to have like more of like a balance if possible. But if they let one of them go off the bench, then that player gets to pretty much play more free, shall we say, when they're the best player on the court. But we'll see which players possibly might be willing to take the sacrifice.
Yeah, I feel like it would make sense either Mikel or OG since they're so similar. I guess the only difference is
Yeah,
that Mikel's always playing and OG is always injured. That's probably like the main
yeah.
difference.
That's the main difference.
But like,
Yeah.
if you're the Knicks, there's no way you're gonna bench a guy that you just paid a lot for. With OG, like you gave him a very expensive contract, and you're just gonna have him on the bench. That's a little weird. And then benching Mikal
Yeah.
Bridges as well would be weird as
Technically
well.
speaking,
So
I was gonna say, um, wait, sorry to
no,
interrupt.
don't worries, no worries.
I was gonna, yeah, I was gonna say, technically they also did pay a lot to get Mikal Bridges. Like,
Exactly.
so
So it's weird.
it's a tough move either way, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless they wanted to go like extra small or something. Like, if they had Mikhail play like shooting guard for actually my bad, correct that. Josh Hart would probably be the shooting guard, right? Or he would be a small forward, one of those two. Obviously Jalen Brunson's the point guard. So then you insert Mikhail at one end. Then maybe you can insert OG one end. If they really want to go small ball, maybe they can have Randall play the five. I mean, obviously now Randall is able to shoot unlike his early days on the Lakers. So he's not really like that type of five player. But if he wants to do something like that, maybe like a Brook Lopez type role where he like steps at the 3 point line, but then occasionally does some post ups, maybe they can try that. I
I would
mean,
hate to
maybe
see that.
I think that's something that's worth trying in the beginning of the season
True,
because
true.
like the beginning of the season is the time that teams test things out to see what works, what doesn't. But then towards the end of the season, obviously teams need to get serious. What works, you roll with it, and then you prepare for the playoffs. So maybe they can do that. But I think that it would be best probably if one of those guys comes off the bench for the depth purposes. But we'll
Yeah,
see. Should be interesting.
yeah. We'll see. I
I
guess.
think this Knicks team is going to be really interesting to watch for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I guess the last thing I'll say about this before we can move on is that I hope Tibbs doesn't break Mikal Bridges' Iron Man streak. I hope he doesn't like
Oh yeah,
overdo Mikal because he's been one of the healthiest guys in the league, and if he gets like injured play for Tibbs, that's not gonna be a good look for him.
yeah. It wouldn't be.
But okay, I guess that's enough for that trade. We talked extensively about that one, so we could honestly speed through a few of the other ones. Starting with a draft day trade between the Blazers and Wizards. The Wizards received Malcolm Brogdon, Carlton Bub Carrington, who was the 14th overall pick, 2029 first round pick, second most favorable from Portland, 2028 second round pick, 2030 second round pick, and the Trailblazers ended up getting Denny Avdija, I believe is how you say it, who's been
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the few bright spots for the Wizards, and they traded him away for Malcolm Brogdon and a bunch of picks. And this one got me like a little confused at first. Like I feel like Denny's the type of player that the Wizards would like to like build around or at least have in during their rebuilding stage because he is still pretty young. But my guess on why the Wizards wanted to do this is two reasons. One, to get more picks and just more youth in there. And then two, for Malcolm Brogdon to help mature the Wizards because we know how goofy the Wizards have been this past season with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma taking the reins. Maybe Malcolm Brogdon can either help, you know, turn these boys into men, or they could trade Malcolm Brogdon and get even more picks and more capital. So that's why I think the Wizards did it, and then the Trailblazers, just another young guard to have on their roster. Uh, a roster filled with a lot of young guards, but still, like he has a lot of potential. And if Scoot doesn't work out, they got Denny. So those are my thoughts. I'll grade them after you give your thoughts. Let's do that.
Yeah, I thought this was definitely one of the more shocking moves because I figured a team would want to try to trade for Denny, knowing that he's a really good young and up and coming um, young guy. But I definitely didn't expect it from another rebuilding team like the Trailblazers. I would have thought that the contender would try to trade for him. That was definitely pretty shocking for me as well. Um, Overall, I guess good move for both teams. I guess. Overall, though, I feel like it made less sense for the Blazers. I don't really know like why they made this move if they're like in rebuild mode. Also, giving up all those draft picks. Um, I mean, as you mentioned, he's like a good piece that could go like as a part of their young core. Um, like for example, if Scoot doesn't work out, then he's a good workout option. Or if Scoot does have a breakout season and gets back on track to his pre-draft expectations, then that's another guy to add to the unit. So I guess it's a nice little move to add to the mix just because you don't know about all draft picks. There could definitely be certain flops, certain busts. Um, but I think that for the Wizards, it was really good in the sense that they were able to build on draft capital, and then they got a really good guy in Bob Carrington, and also, as you mentioned, their team was wasn't very well. Obviously, the team wasn't very good. They were like the second worst team behind the Pistons, and probably a lot of the reasons because of like lack of maturity, lack of experience. Well, Brogdon being a more polished veteran now in the league for entering his ninth season, maybe he's the type of guy that team needs to have in the locker room to try to hopefully get a little bit better and potentially make the next step forward. It probably won't be now. Maybe it won't be anytime too soon, but maybe sooner than later. But then again, the Eastern Conference really isn't all that. So you never know in the East. There could be breakout teams that come out of nowhere. If we're talking about grades for the trade, I would say hard for me to really say like it's really good or really bad at the moment. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm just gonna say B for both, honestly. Why not? I don't really know how to judge at the moment, so I'll say B for the Wizards because they were able to get a veteran guy for the locker room and stock up on a good amount of draft picks, and then B for the Blazers because they were able to get a nice young guy to add to their core, but they also gave up a lot of compensation, being another rebuilding team. So I think it was a shocking move for both sides, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
similar with you in terms of the grading. I'll give um the Wizards a B, and then probably Trailblazers B minus, just because they gave up a lot of picks. But yeah, I'm done with Blazers and Wizards talk. We could move on to the
yeah,
next, which
two
is
bad teams trading.
yeah, it's just like we're talking about mid at this point. But speaking of
Yeah,
mid,
below mid.
true, true. But yeah, next one, which not gonna lie, I didn't even know this one happened. I guess I didn't check the notes earlier, so I have no clue about this trade. But it's the Kings trading
Um,
for Jalen
it happened on
McDaniels.
Thursday.
Sorry, what?
It happened on Thursday.
Thursday? Yeah, I don't
I
know
think it was
why
like
I didn't see this on the
I don't
notes for
remember
some
if it
reason.
was. I don't remember if this was during the second round or right before the second round, but it was definitely. I think it might have been like before the second round started on Thursday, like in the morning or something. Yeah, like early afternoon.
But yeah, the trade is the Kings received Jalen McDaniels from the Raptors, and the Raptors received Davion Mitchell, Sasha Vensenkov, and then Jamal Sheed with the 45th pick, and that is coming from the Kings. Again, I wasn't paying attention to this trade whatsoever. I feel like this is just a lot of mid being swapped around. So I really don't know how I feel about this. But since you put it in the notes, what do you think? Like I'm sure you have a better grasp on this than I do.
Um, I think start win the trade because they got the better player. They really didn't give up that much, honestly. Um, so obviously, Jaden McDaniels on the Timberwolves, known as a really good defender and really good overall two-way player, 3 and D. Um, Jaden McDaniels is not quite as good as his brother, but I think he's still pretty good. So you can think of him as like a poor man's version, shall we say, which is okay. I mean, like, still good. It's not as good as his brother. Um, and knowing that they didn't really give up that much, honestly, for the Kings, I think it's a good move. Davion Mitchell hasn't really met expectations. I mean, his defense is pretty good. His offense is just so. And then, honestly, I don't really know too much about those other guys, so can't really say too much about them here. Um, I'm just gonna go ahead and give grades. I'm gonna say Kings B plus, Raptors C. Honestly, like I didn't get why the Raptors did this trade. Honestly, I feel like they should have like tried to get more. Honestly, but yeah. So I
But
know that you don't really know too much about this trade or like the players to judge per se, right? But
yeah, well, I do know one thing. It's that Jalen McDaniels didn't have like the best season last year. Looking at stats now, 3.4 points, 1.6 rebounds, 0.7 assists, with 34.4 field goal percentage. There must be some kind of potential the Kings see, that you see, but at the moment, this is like a mid player to me. Like I don't know why this trade happened, but to be fair, I don't watch the Raptors, so maybe Jay McDaniels does have potential. Maybe he will be like his brother, but uh, for me currently, I don't know about that. Looking at these stats, he's been regressing. He used to average 10.6 points, and then after 2 years now it's 3.4. So it's not looking that good to me. But again, I don't know. I'm not familiar with these players at all. So we'll see, I guess. But
Yeah.
I won't I
I
won't
want
even
to
grade
say
this. I
down.
won't grade this just because I'm not too
I want to
informed.
say down year, but we shall see.
Yeah, we'll see. But we'll move on to the Mavs trade. The Mavs traded with the Pistons, and the Mavs ended up getting rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. and 3 second round picks for Quentin Grimes, and I think this is a great move for Dallas. We all know that Tim Hardaway Jr. struggled in the playoffs, I guess, but mostly the finals, except for that one game where he scored 5 threes in like 5 minutes and made history just doing that. But other than that game, he was atrocious. For a bucket getter, he couldn't get a bucket to save his life. Quentin Grimes is definitely an upgrade. We saw a lot of bright spots, especially when he was with the Knicks. He was kind of like hidden from the world since he went to Toronto. But Quentin Grimes is a bucket getter. He could score a lot better than Tim Hardaway Jr. That's for sure. So this is a great move for Dallas because we all know they need more scorers besides Luka and Kyrie, who Kyrie could be inconsistent at times. So that's why it's even more important to get these scores. And the Pistons, some draft capital. That's always nice. I don't know if they're gonna keep Tim Hardaway Jr. I, I guess he can give them buckets, especially with a bigger role. And Kate Cunningham's gonna need somebody that can shoot threes, and Tim can do that sometimes. So it's not that bad of a trade for the Pistons. But what do you think?
I think that it was straight up highway robbery for the Mavs for sure. Um, gave up a practically washed guy for and not very valuable second round picks for a pretty good young player. And I think it's a really good move for the Mavs. And I believe the Pistons newly hired someone from the front office that used to be a part of the Mavs organization. So you can look at this as his thank you for hiring me in the past and giving me the opportunity type move. So cool little story there, I think. Um, but yeah, I think that by far the Mavs won this trade, and I think that they for sure deserve to get an A for this trade. And as far as the Pistons, honestly, I'll give them a C. Honestly, I don't think that it was that good of a trade for them. They were able to get picks, but only getting second round picks is like not that valuable in my opinion. It's okay. At least they got something. But yeah, I'm gonna say A for Mavs, C for Pistons.
Okay, sorry. I think that's pretty fair. Quick
I was
correction.
about to give them a C minus, but I got a little bit nicer at the end.
Yeah, very kind of you. But
Yeah,
yeah, quick correction. I think I said Quentin Grimes was hidden with the Raptors when I should have said Pistons. I think that's what I said earlier.
yeah,
But
yeah. You said Raptors.
I did. Okay, so my bad. He's from the He was from the Pistons. Just to clarify that. But yeah, I will also give Dallas an A because this is exactly what they needed, a score. Um, that's good. And Pistons, I'll do B minus. I think it's good that they got picks. Yeah, they're second rounders, but who knows? Maybe they'll get the next Nikola Jokic. We'll see about that. And then Tim Hardaway Jr. will help the lineup because the Pistons have a whole team with non-shooters. They're gonna need a shooter, and even though Tim Hardaway Jr. is not the same Tim Hardaway Jr. from years ago, he could get you buckets from time to time, as we saw in what was it, Game 4 of the NBA Finals. He has a little in him still. So I think he'll be fine, and if he doesn't pan out, then yeah, I guess this trade would be highway robbery, as you said. But yeah, to me, Dallas gets an A, Pistons get B minus. But we can move on to the last trade of the evening before we get into some other NBA news. And this happened today, kind of not kind of that recently, but this one I feel like is more of a highway robbery than the last one, which is Pelicans trading for DeJounte Murray. The Atlanta Hawks finally traded DeJounte Murray. He is going to the Pelicans, and what do the Hawks get? Essentially, like nothing. They got Larry Nance Jr., Dyson Daniels, and 2 first-round picks. This is, I won't say it's awful, but like, what are you doing here? You don't even go for like one of their promising young players like Herb Jones. You don't even go for Brandon Ingram, who was rumored to be traded with DeJounte Murray for the longest time. Like, I know you got some promising wings in Atlanta, but those are the trades that you kind of want to go for if you're going to get rid of your all-star caliber point guard. So, for the Hawks, this is kind of stupid. Like, Larry Nance Jr., like, shout out to him, former Laker, but that's the best player we're getting after trading DeJounte Murray? Are you kidding me? Like, this is a bad trade for the Hawks. I mean, maybe if I sleep on it, maybe this will grow on me and I'll think this is actually good, especially with 2 second first round picks. Like, that's good. Like, it's good that they got that. This basically means the Hawks are going to start rebuilding. They're going to start tanking. They're going to need to get rid of Trey in order to successfully do that, but we'll see if that happens. But yeah, I'm not loving this for the Hawks. For the Pelicans, this is perfect. This is exactly what they needed. They needed a point guard because, CJ McCollum is good, but he's never been a distributor. As we know from the Trailblazers days, that was Dame's job, while CJ McCollum could be a full-time shooting guard. Uh, this is great for the Pelicans because CJ will no longer be the main distributor. He can finally go back to his normal position. DeJounte Murray can have the ball in his hands, distribute it to Zion, distribute it to CJ McCollum. If Brandon Ingram's still there, distribute it to him. And, maybe he'll go back to playing good defense like he did for the Spurs. And we saw, like, with the Hawks, that he could be a impressive scorer. He had some clutch moments for the Hawks. So, for the Pelicans, this is great. Hawks, not so much. Do you agree with me?
Oh, I agree 1,000%. Yeah, this was even more so higher robbery, and really dumb move for the Hawks. I don't get it, honestly. Because like the Pelicans are rumored to get rid of Brandon Ingram. Why not ask them to give him to you guys when you guys are gonna get rid of one of your really good players? It doesn't make sense to me there. I feel like they should have for sure gotten Brandon Ingram. And then, as you mentioned, they didn't even at least get Herb Jones, like as like a slightly lesser guy. Yeah, that was a dumb move. I will say that obviously it is good that they're getting first round picks, but the thing is, like, now that the Pelicans got DeJounte Murray, they're probably going to be a pretty good team. Maybe they can be like a high seed in the Western Conference. Honestly, I mean, they were, after all, they were technically the original seventh seed before losing to the Lakers and playing, dropping to the eighth. They could have been higher if they just won a few more games. Now that they got Dejounte, they could easily be like a top five for example, maybe even top three. Who knows? Um, but the point is, though they got the first round picks from the Pelicans, there's a chance that there's like, going to be really low first round picks. In that sense, it'll almost be second round picks. So like, how good are those picks values really gonna be? I just don't know. Um, so yeah, it was a really dumb move. As you mentioned, like Larry Nance Jr. being the best player they got. I like Larry Nance Jr., but he shouldn't have been the best player that they got in the package. And yeah, I think that as far as the grades go, it's hard for me to go any other way than Pelicans A plus and Hawks F. Honestly, like I don't know how else to say it. Yeah, honestly, do you think?
I think I'm a bit too nice because I was gonna say A for the Pelicans, just because they ended up losing a couple first round picks, which you never know. Maybe they do end up being pretty good. Depends how the balls are spun and stuff. So A for the Pelicans. This is essentially what they needed. And then I was gonna go C minus for the Hawks.
Pretty generous, not gonna lie.
Very generous because of the two first round picks. I mean, this is a good. If you want to tank, this is what you need. You need Larry Nance Jr., you need Dyson Daniels, and some first round picks. So I guess if that's the goal, C minus. But this doesn't work if you have Trey Young on the team. If you have Trey Young on the team, they're gonna be mid, and that's not what they want. They want to be bad. So if they get rid of Trey Young, this is a C minus. If they don't get rid of Trey Young and they still are like a mid, um, what is it called, play-in team, then yeah, this might be a D or maybe even an F, depending on what they do. But they gotta get rid of Trey Young and start tanking this season. Like no more excuses. If you're getting rid of Dejounte Murray and you're not getting anything of value except for the two first round picks, you gotta tank at that point.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, the Hawks have been like in the middle of the pack too long. Really, ever since their miraculous 2021 run to the Eastern Conference Finals due to all those injuries from those other teams. So there's that. But yeah, they've just been middle of the pack ever since then. And the reality is like you're not gonna go anywhere if you're always in the middle of the standings every year in, year out. You gotta be either really good or really bad to the point that you get your high draft picks and then hopefully will be good soon. But if you're just gonna stay in the middle, then yeah, I'm sorry, you're just not gonna win. Period. So yeah, they definitely need to unload Trey, and they probably will, but we don't know where, we don't know what they're gonna get in return, or any of that yet. But if they like don't get rid of him, then I feel like all of this is like completely useless. Honestly, they could have just in that point kept Dejounte also, run it back with um, their draft class, and that could have been something maybe worth watching. But they definitely, I think, Trey is on the out as well now.
Yeah, that looks like that's gonna be the move. But that's it for the trades as of I guess what month is it? June 29th, 2024, 12:38. a.m. Um, there's probably going to be more trades this weekend, but obviously we can't talk about that because it's in the future for us. So we'll just talk about some other NBA news, like the NBA draft that just happened this week. For the first time ever, they did it in 2 days. The first day for the first round, second day for the second round. We are not the best, not the most informed when it comes to college basketball, international basketball. So a lot of these names were new to me, but if you're interested, I will at least give you the top 10 and then we'll go over um, some of the more notable picks to us. Like, again, we're no experts on this, especially me. Like, I couldn't care less about college basketball. So um, I definitely had to learn uh, as the draft went by. I had to do some research on a few guys, but yeah, let me give the top 10 and then we'll discuss some of the biggest highlights. So, at number one, like, I'm so uninformed. I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name, and he's the number one pick. But I believe it's Zachary Richard? Am I close? Like, do you know?
I don't think so, honestly. Um, I'm pretty sure it's Risache.
Risache. He's French, so
He's
that's why
French. Yeah.
it's tough. But Zachary's number one. Alex Sarr, who is also French, is number two. He's going to the Wizards. Number three is Reed Shepard, who is going to the Rockets. Number four is Stephon Castle, who's going to the Spurs. Number five is Ron Holland II, who is going to the Pistons. Number six, Tijane Salone going to the Hornets. I'm so sorry, I butchered that. Um, at number seven, Donovan Clingan for the Portland Trailblazers. Number eight, through a trade with the Spurs, Rob Dillingham is going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. At number 9 is Zach Edey, who's going to the Memphis Grizzlies. And number 10, Cody Williams, who's going to the Utah Jazz. And I forgot to mention the first round pick was for the Atlanta Hawks. So that's where Zachary's going. So those are the top 10 in this draft. A draft that is notably not the best. That's what everybody has been saying for like a couple years now. But what are some of the biggest highlights to you? What do you think?
I think top 10, to start, the most obvious one is controversy, the Hawks taking Versace over Alex Sarr. Because a lot of people thought Alex Sarr was the best player, and he probably is, honestly. But who knows? I mean, seemingly there hasn't really been like a absolute consensus number one, but a lot of people lean towards Alex Sarr being the number one best player. So who knows how this can pan out at the end? Um, I feel like initially I didn't like the. I will say this. Um, I'm still questioning whether the Hawks made the right move here, but I feel like in terms of the situation for Alex Sarr, maybe it's actually better for him in Washington. In the beginning, I didn't like it. I'm like, wow, Sarr is getting drafted by such a bad team, the Wizards. But then I realized he's for sure going to be the number one option, and that's obviously good. In Atlanta, like they just seemingly don't really use their young players too well. Recently, like Quinn Snyder and whatnot. Like last year, they drafted Kobe Buffkin, and he didn't really get a lot of playing time. And he showed his promise. He showed his potential. And for a team that mid, young players should be getting more shine. So maybe he dodged a bullet there, or who knows? Maybe it is a bad situation going to Washington, but definitely some controversy there.
There was
Um,
a report that Alex Sarr refused to work out with the Hawks, so I'm sure that's a big reason why he ended up being drafted second. I think Alex Sarr wanted to be like the top dog of the team. I think that's why he didn't want to go to the Hawks. And for the Hawks' point of view, like why would you draft a guy that doesn't want to be on your team? Like it is weird that Alex Sarr got a say on where he went, but at the end of the day, I think the Hawks did the more like reasonable choice, not choosing a guy that doesn't want to be there. So I guess that makes sense. We just it's just a mystery on how this is gonna pan out. How well Zachary's gonna do. A lot of people are saying he has a lot of potential, especially if he can learn how to shoot. But we'll see, I guess.
yeah. And aside from that, as far as the top 10 goes, most of these guys I think were pretty reasonable where they are. I mean, like, they were some really good players that was projected to be really highly drafted. Reed Shepard was a cold-blooded um, shooter for Kentucky.
He's definitely
Stefan
someone to
Castle,
watch.
yeah, Stefan Castle playing for the back-to-back champs, and now he gets to be teammates with Wemby. So that's pretty cool.
And they needed a
Um,
point guard, so
Donovan
that's good.
Donovan Clingan, he was also a part of the back-to-back UConn champs, and going to Portland. I mean, obviously Portland's not a very good team, but cool that he gets to be one of the top young guns there. Um, and then the Timberwolves trading up to get Rob Dillingham, sneaky good move there, for sure. It was caught. I think that caught a lot of people by surprise that they traded up, but they must have seen something too good to pass up in him. So that was cool. But I think that the main shocking move in the first round was the fact that Zach Edey was drafted so high. Um, Me personally, I've always been pretty high on Zach Edey, but I definitely didn't expect him to be taken first, top 10. I thought he would be like maybe a mid first round or possibly even a late first round pick. And some people even thought he would be a second round pick. Not necessarily what I thought, but like point blank is I think that him being taken in top 10 was quite shocking. But obviously after the Grizzlies traded Steven Adams, they did need a little bit of center depth, and now they got it. Zach Edey was pretty good at Purdue. He was a well, obviously he made it to the national championship, ended up losing to UConn, but had a pretty good run there. His game reminds me a lot of Ivica Zubats, honestly, like the post up and whatnot, down low, all that. So pretty cool. I saw that John Morant had a pretty funny IG story. I think he posted a clip of Rush Hour or something because the iconic black and Asian duo. Um, yeah, that was really cool and funny, I will say. Um, and I like this move for the Grizzlies, honestly.
I love it. I think
Shocking,
this is
but
a
I like it a lot.
this is a great move for the Grizzlies, especially as he said they no longer have Steven Adams, and uh, what's his name? The power forward for the Grizzlies.
E.G. Jackson,
No, the DPOY,
or the guy they got rid of.
the the former defensive player of the year.
Oh, Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, this he is a really good defender, but he can't play center to for like he can't like he is a 7 footer that can't rebound. How are you gonna play center? That's why he's been so successful next to a Steven Adams who can do the dirty work, who can set the screens, who can rebound. That's what he needs, And I think that's what Zach Edey is gonna provide. He was known for having some of the best picks in college basketball, which is kind of funny that like they look into that much detail. But yeah, he should be a great fit. The pick and roll game with Zach Edey and John Moran is gonna be pretty cool, and it definitely will help out uh, the team. Just being a solid center is exactly what this Grizzlies team need, because that's how they've been successful throughout the years with Jonas Valanciunas, with Steven Adams, and now with Zach Edey. I feel like he can play like a Steven Adams or Jonas Valanciunas. So definitely a great pick at number 9. Even though a lot of people would disagree, I saw someone say that this was like a D minus move from the Grizzlies, but I think this is a great pickup.
I I saw that as well, and I could not disagree more, honestly. Like I the Zach Edey disrespect is crazy, honestly. Maybe it's because he's Asian. Who knows? But
First Canadian
yeah.
Asian to be selected in the top 10, I believe. So shout out to him.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool accomplishment, honestly. Would have been cool if he was drafted by the Raptors, being the hometown boy, but yeah. Fit wise, I think Grizzlies is a good fit. Um but as far as like more of the notable picks goes, I think that definitely Dalton Connect dropping all the way down to 17 into the Lakers' hands was really shocking. And that was a sneaky good steal for the Lakers for
Let's
sure.
go.
Um, so initially, if I were to have picked a guy that I wanted pre-draft, I would have honestly wanted Zach Edey, honestly, knowing the Lakers need center depth, or even like a Khalil Ware type, or Tristan da Silva. Dalton Connect was just never really thought of in the conversation because, quite honestly, no one thought he would drop that low. And even his agent said they didn't schedule a workout with the Lakers because they expected him to be well gone by then. And what do you know? Dropped to our hands. Too good to pass up. And obviously, the Lakers needed 3-point shooting really badly, so
True.
they got the guy. And obviously, a really good shooter from his days and knows the value of 3-point shooting. He said that he was already drawing up plays for him
Yeah,
as they
that's
after they
crazy.
selected. Yeah, I'm not shocked, honestly. Maybe he could be the next JJ Redick.
Maybe he has a really cool
Or
nickname
Austin
already,
Reeves.
which is
Yeah, Connect Four.
Connect Four. That's fire. That's so fire.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought about that before he even chose his number. Because when I thought Connect, I just think of Connect 4 usually. So, yeah, that's pretty cool that he chose number 4 to uh, make that awesome nickname. Um, yeah. And then aside from that, as far as the first round goes, super controversial move was the Bucks taking AJ Johnson. The guy averaged like 2 points in college, so people were really confused by that. That was probably definitely a bit of a reach for sure. Um, Aside from that, I think there weren't really too many other crazy things per se, but in the first round, second round, there were a few things to point out. Um, First thing I thought stood out was Sam Christie, brother of Max Christie, drafted by the Clippers, and now the two brothers will be playing right across the hall from each other, assuming that Max resigns, of course, which I think he will, honestly. But now sending the two brothers playing across the hall, that's like another Markieff Morris, Marcus Morris moment. Hopefully this time we have the better brother on our side. That'd be really cool for sure. Um, Aside from that, though, I think that the most obvious is the expected move with Bronny James getting drafted and dropping to the Lakers' hands at pick number 55. And cool story there for sure. LeBron's dream came true. He gets to play with his son. Um, Now, obviously, there's gonna be a lot of people saying like nepotism or whatever. They're like saying that the only reason why he got drafted is because he's LeBron's son, and they can say that if they want. But the reality is, even if he didn't have one of the greatest college seasons, people got to remember that he was coming off a heart condition. So there was a lot on his mind and mentally, and he had to get back into the groove. So I don't necessarily think that his low point average for at USC necessarily reflects his real talents. Um, the fact that we cook him was a really late second round pick. I don't mind it. Like, it's not a bad move in my opinion. Now, if we would have taken him in the first round, I would have had hella problems. But that didn't happen.
Yeah,
So
I would have
we're
been so pissed.
yeah, yeah. But that being said, cool little story there. Bronny and LeBron playing together. Bronny chose to wear number 9, and he it. One thing it's gonna make me wonder is because I'm wondering if LeBron is gonna put James Senior on the back of his jersey now because Bronny put James Junior on his back. So we'll see there. That'd be interesting. Um, but yeah, next season, Bronny throwing lobs to LeBron or vice versa. That's gonna be really fun. And then there's been a lot of memes like Bronny makes a game losing decision. LeBron um, give him a spanking afterwards or whatever you do. Internet is crazy. But yeah, overall, I will say, though this was one of their more like lackluster and weaker draft classes than some of past of recent memory, and there were some moments. So I guess they find a way. They found a way to entertain despite not being as high power, like not as much firepower in the class.
Yeah, it's
But
crazy
I think
how
for the most part,
the most like high power, like the most like interesting thing happened in the second round, which was Bronny being picked
yeah,
with the 55th pick. Which, as you said, I'm glad we picked him up with the 55th pick because that's such a low risk pickup that like I don't
low
mind.
risk.
Like if we took him for with the 17th pick, that would have been insane. I would have been so pissed. But no, this is actually a good pickup. Seeing LeBron uh, completing one of his like dreams, as he's been talking about this for years, how he wants to play with his son, and now they're the first ever father and son to not only play in the NBA at the same time, but be on the same team. That's an incredible story, and there's a lot of like things that I'm not necessarily happy about when it comes to the nepotism. I feel I'm not a fan of that, but at the end of the day, like nepotism happens all the time in the NBA. The James family aren't the first, and they won't be the
Sports in
last.
general.
Um, so there's that, and then like the thing with Rich Paul telling all the teams to not draft him or he'll play in Australia. I don't know if that's true, but that's
That
a
was,
weird move, especially since like
it is a weird move.
nobody really wanted
It's a
Bronny.
funny move, I will say.
Yeah, but like it doesn't even make sense because if he does play with Australia, the team
I
still
think,
drafted him, so he still is part of that team. So
yeah, I think
it
that's a
was a dumb
really
move.
funny move. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Now the only question now is if LeBron is going to try to wait for Bryce to enter the draft
I
and
don't think
potentially
that's gonna
play with
happen.
both of his sons. Now,
Not
if
even
he
Bryce
wants
believes that's
to,
gonna happen.
clear. Yeah, I heard that. If he wants to, clearly LeBron can do that. about to be age 40, still playing at a really high level. But does he want to? I don't know. So yeah, chances of that happening are probably low, but never say never. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, overall,
Um,
it's a nice story. I mean, I made a TikTok on this. I Yeah, earlier today I think, and I got a comment saying that if LeBron wasn't playing, Bronny wouldn't be drafted at all, and I think that's just a stupid way of thinking
awesome.
because
Oh,
like it's just a what if scenario. So I was like if Bronny didn't have a cardiac arrest, he wouldn't have had such a lackluster USC season. Like we could play the what if game all day, but at the end of the day, he is now in the NBA, and we should be celebrating that because this is a very legendary moment in the sports history. So appreciate greatness. Like that's all I have to say. Like this is a one of a kind uh like scenario. So stop being a hater is essentially what I'm trying to say.
agreed. And yeah, and I believe that's the main key points of the draft, I
Yeah.
think, that we have covered. Um, I think now we can circle back to that one subject that you mentioned at the very beginning, maybe quickly addressing the Andrew Wiggins situation before we talk about our predictions of free agency landings for some of the top free agents. Um, so pretty much what happened was the Warriors saying that they would like to hold back and not. So I think that the phrasing was probably what was a little bit misleading. I think the original tweet said something about like the Warriors would not allow Andrew Wiggins to play in the Olympics for Canada, but there wasn't really like specific. I guess they didn't get really specific in the exact details or something. So a lot of people, I guess it made it look a lot worse than what it really was. Maybe that's what it was. But I think they said something about like the reasoning was because they wanted to like help with his mental or like personal whatever issues he was going through, something like that. A little bit confusing for
I don't
sure.
believe it.
If you want, feel free to chime in. By the way,
Yeah, like I don't
but
believe it. It's I think
yeah, the term said Warriors block Andrew Wiggins from playing for Canada at Paris Olympics this summer, which is really confusing. Like, why would they do that?
I didn't even know they had that power. I didn't know they could do that.
I didn't know either. And is Andrew Wiggins a free agent or they're just trying to trade him?
No, they're trying to trade him.
You
So
know?
the word on the street is that they're blocking him so
So
he doesn't get injured
so
and
that
doesn't
means that
lose his trade value. But a lot of people
yeah,
are also
but
saying
he's
that
still
this
under
was
contract with the Warriors
yeah,
for
yeah.
now.
But a lot of
Mm,
people are also
yeah.
saying that Steve Kerr is doing this to help the U.S. chances against Canada, which that might be a
That's
stretch. But at the end of the day, I feel like blocking Andrew Wiggins from playing
they
for his
should beat
country is
Canada
messed up.
regardless.
Well, we couldn't do that during the FIBA World Cup, but then
Yeah,
again, we
but
didn't
that's because
have.
a lot of the I was gonna say, yeah, we didn't have a lot of our key guys there.
Yeah, we still had like more All Stars than them, but and still lost. But
Yeah.
it is what it
Yeah,
is.
that's sad.
Yeah, yeah, it's sad. Like I feel like sometimes we overhype the U.S. team and downgrade
Always.
the
Always overhyped.
uh the international teams, but they're catching up. They really are. But
They
yeah,
are for sure.
I feel like this is a scummy move from the Warriors. Like
Yeah, I agree. Anal move.
what?
I said it's an anal move by the Warriors.
Oh,
Um,
I've never heard that phrase before, but okay.
never heard that phrase. I'm quite shocked, honestly. I've definitely heard it before. Anyhow, yeah, it was a not very cool move, I will say. Um, like I get it. You don't want your guy to get injured because you want to try to trade him and you don't want to lose value. But making sure that he cannot play for the Olympics for Canada to represent his country, that just seems like
It's messed up.
very overboard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
OD.
definitely. So yeah, I don't like that for him or by the Warriors, honestly.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's it. And we could finally talk about free agency talk since it's coming up, and we've got 10 players to talk about. Just some of the more notable names in this year's free agency. Some of them are gonna be quick to talk about, like LeBron. He's staying with the Lakers. We can all agree on that, especially with his son playing for the Lakers
Well,
now.
it
He's
it
staying.
got lost. It was it was very likely, I think, from the start that he would resign. But now that they got Bronny, it's for sure a lock.
So that's one down. Now let's talk about one that's a little bit more complicated, which is Paul George, who will not be able to sign a max deal with the Clippers. The Clippers refuse, so it's most likely that he's gonna be going somewhere else. I have my thoughts, but what do you think is gonna happen?
Um, this one's really tricky. Obviously, there have been teams linked that have said that they are interested in him. Like the Sixers are interested. But then they kind of took like a back step for. Reality is you don't know what rumors are true, what rumors are not. But there was a rumor that said that they would like to take a back step and have more balance around free agency. I could get that. The other rumor was the Warriors trying to offer him a max and do a sign and trade. And then cool story would really be if he went back to the Pacers, honestly, I think. Um now I will say this, it's this one is kind of challenging to predict the destination in my opinion because I think all of them have a chance, but all of them have like the question marks. I I put my prediction as the Warriors, but even saying that, I don't know, honestly. Because, like, first off, do the Clippers really want to trade him to one of their rivals? I don't think so. But at the same time, like, if the Warriors can give them, like, a really good package that they can't pass up, maybe they'll set that aside and just take it. So, hard to say, honestly. Now, where would I want him to go? Honestly, I would love for him to go back to Indiana. Go back to where everything started, and quite honestly, where he shouldn't have left, in my opinion. Um, Although not very confident, I'm just gonna say he ends up with the Warriors.
Yeah, I feel like the best bet is just saying that he's no longer gonna be a Clipper. It's just where the
Oh, for sure.
destination is gonna be is tricky. I did put Pacers just because I don't want him to be on the Warriors, so my bias is
I mean, I don't
definitely
want him to be on
there.
the Warriors either.
But it would be a great fit over there. Besides Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, I think they could make huge waves. I think I liked it better if like Paul George was gonna go to the Sixers, but we know that that's been debunked. But he would have been a perfect fit over there, and we know that the
For
Sixers
sure.
have a
Who
lot of
knows? It
money.
could still happen.
It could, but I doubt it now. Financially, I don't know how the Pacers are gonna make it work, but uh,
I
I
don't either.
I think if they want to make it work, they can make it work, and I believe Paul George would like to go back as well, um, just for old time's sakes. But yeah, that's Paul George. We talked about LeBron. We talked about Paul George. Let's talk about Tyrese Maxey, one of the easier ones. I believe he's gonna stay. Um, he's had so much success these recent years with the 76ers. I think the 76ers are confident with him, and I think Tyrese Maxey are confident with the organization to see if this can continue being a great fit. and continue to have success. So I do believe that Tyrese is gonna stay.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. Having done really good and improving pretty much every single year, there's really no other move that's right than for him to stay. And on top of that, he's a restricted free agent, so more than likely setting the nail in the coffin, Tyrese Maxey is gonna re-sign with the Sixers.
All right,
All right,
back to
so
more
I think
complicated and going with Isaiah Hartenstein, who is most likely not gonna be a Knick just because he's probably gonna want to chase a bag, and he deserves to after having an amazing season. So, where do you think he will land?
so because he probably will not re-sign with the Knicks. I feel like honestly, another contender is gonna try signing him as like a potential final piece of the puzzle. And my prediction, honestly, I think the Thunder is gonna go after Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, I know that the Thunder would have like a better backup to check would be like very, very crucial and important, honestly. I think that that was probably part of their demise against the Mavs. And if they get Isaiah Hartenstein as a backup, that'd be really good. And right, they were already the one seed in the Western Conference that was really stacked. They can for sure at least get further in the second round if they can get Isaiah Hartenstein and further polish the roster with other moves in free agency. So I think that Isaiah Hartenstein will end up with the Thunder. Your thoughts, Memo?
Yeah, I think it does make a lot of sense for him to want to go to a contender, and I think the Thunder would be a great move as long as he is willing to play off the bench and be the backup for Chet. Then yeah, I think that would be perfect for everybody. I went more into like where can I get the most money scenario. So I went with either the Magic or the Utah Jazz, who now thinking about it, like, Utah don't really need a center as much as the Magic do. The Magic definitely probably would like an Isaiah Hartenstein in their starting lineup to help improve that young team and probably rank up in the playoffs. So, and I know they have lots of money this offseason. So, uh, for the most for the most bang for Isaiah's buck, I think the Magic would be a good destination for him. Still will be in the playoff scenario and get that money. But if he wants to win, go to the Thunder. Maybe the Knicks if he's willing to sacrifice. But honestly, I
Yeah, that'd be
think
a really big sacrifice.
yeah, honestly, I think this is gonna be a money driven decision as it should be. So uh,
Well, for sure, he deserves the bag.
yeah, so I will say the Magic.
Okay. Um. So next player on our list is DeMar DeRozan. So I think that it's pretty unlikely that he returns to the Bulls, especially knowing that he has been linked to trades for a while now, but it just never happened. But that being said, if he were to leave, where do I think that he'll end up? Honestly, if Paul George leaves the Clippers, I think he will go to the Clippers as the replacement. It just makes too much sense, honestly. Like DeMar DeRozan, he's from SoCal. He wants to play in LA. I'm sure he would rather play for the Lakers, but if he can't play for the Lakers, he can still come back to LA and play for the JV team. And that's okay. I mean, like, at least he gets to play at home if he wants. So, for him, I wouldn't hate it. Now, definitely, if the Clippers do go from Paul George to DeMar DeRozan, without a doubt, it's a downgrade. Like, there's no way, no other way around it. But quite honestly, if that is like their consolation prize, that's not a bad consolation prize after losing a really good superstar to get another slightly lesser version. That being said, Memo, would you like to add on to anything I said? Like agree, disagree, any of that stuff?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he will be Clipper. You know, there's been a lot of rumors behind that, and it's very believable, especially if Paul George is not going to be a Clipper, which I really doubt he will be. Then getting DeMar DeRozan would be the best move, especially with what's his name, Steve Ballmer, the owner.
Yeah, Steve Ballmer.
He's gonna want as many notable names as possible, especially with them opening a new arena. If they lose Paul George, they're gonna lose some money because that's one less star on the team. But if you can replace him with DeMar DeRozan, that's gonna help a lot. So for a business standpoint, I think that's a big reason why they would get DeMar DeRozan. And we know that the Clippers don't care about spending money. They spend money like crazy. So I'm sure they are willing to sign DeRozan. I would be shocked if the Bulls would try to offer him a contract. I think that would be the most idiotic thing. But I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah,
either. So that's
yeah.
something to look out for.
Oh,
The Bulls shouldn't, but I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, DeRozan to the Clippers makes a lot of sense to me. I'm sure he can help scoring wise. So shout out to him. He should have been a Laker in his prime, but whatever. It is what it is.
yeah, I was gonna mention. Do you remember when DeMar DeRozan was a free agent in 2016? And there was that one article said something about like there's a 90% chance that DeMar DeRozan is gonna sign with the Lakers, and then it didn't happen. Do you remember that?
I kind of do, but like it's in the past.
I was
I
so
moved on. I'm
I'm
fine
so yeah, I'm so confused what happened there. Like, how did they say 90% and then somehow it doesn't happen?
because it's a
Yeah, I've
guess.
moved
At the
on.
end of the day, like the 90% does not have any
Yeah, like where
statistical value whatsoever.
yeah, like where did they get these calculations
They
from? I
made
don't
it up.
know.
That's
But
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
I have gotten it over also. Clearly, we ended up winning a championship later after 2016.
hmm
So yeah, I guess it was meant to be for the better for both sides.
But
That being said, the next free agent to go over on the list is James Harden. And honestly, I don't really see anything aside from him re-signing with the Clippers. Um, he did relatively good for the Clippers, I will say. In the beginning, like the first month when he first got traded there, obviously the team was really shaky. After that, the Clippers went on the roll, and then they started losing a little bit in like March and early April. And then the playoffs, shockingly, Harden was probably like the more consistent superstar on the Clippers. Obviously, eventually, he did have some bad games, as expected. The annual James Harden playoff chokes. Um, but yeah, I think he's definitely going to re-sign with the Clippers because, quite honestly, I don't know where else he would go. um, I mean, if he wanted to go back to the Rockets, that would be a cool little story, I guess. But I don't really see that happening. So I think probably James Harden resigns with the Clippers.
yeah, I believe so
Thoughts?
as well. He's definitely got Clippers all over him. You know, they are a perfect match, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Bunch of playoff chokers, but weirdly enough, he was the best player. The Clippers during the playoffs, which is kind of funny. But yeah,
I know. It's
James.
really fun, ironic.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would want James Harden due to his like impressive like playmaking, but honestly, I feel like James Harden likes being with the Clippers. He likes being in LA. I'm sure he's loving. eating all the food over there and going to all the strip clubs over there. So I'm sure he's fine being in LA and doesn't want to go somewhere like Utah or somewhere like that. So yeah, I don't see him going anywhere but the Clippers. But we'll see. I guess like you never know.
Yeah,
The
we will
next,
see.
we'll see. But next person, KCP Contavious Caldwell Pope. He will not be signing with the Nuggets. I think that's what they're saying. Which is gonna
Yeah.
be a huge loss for the Nuggets.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
but yeah, where do you think he's going?
So I think he's definitely gonna get paid. Um, and I think he'll for sure try to go to another contender. Um, Me personally, I think that assuming that the Sixers lose out on the Paul George sweepstakes, and let's say they also can't get like at least like a DeMar DeRozan as a backup plan, I think he would be a good match for the Sixers. Honestly, a nice little nice player that they could use, like a 3 and D, obviously. Um, the Sixers, they're a pretty good team when they're fully healthy, but they have room for improvement, and the 3 and D certainly could really help. So honestly, I just chose Philly as the destination for KCP. I think of him; he could be like a Plan B, Plan C option for the Sixers if they can't get a superstar.
Yeah, I think that'd be
Well,
like an amazing decision for the 76ers to pick him up because, as you said, they most likely won't get Paul George. Who knows if they'll be able to get a superstar? But instead of a superstar, might as well get one of the best role players in the league, a 3 and D guy that will fit perfectly next to Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt. I think this is gonna be a great fit. They got money, and that's what KCP is looking for. So I think this will help the 76ers a lot if they are able to sign KCP. And look, he kind of wanted it to happen just to make the East a little bit more competitive. But
oh, for sure, yeah, make the East more competitive. Potentially give us a little bit of a chance out west. Um, all that. I mean, obviously Denver is still gonna be good, so we can't get like too overly happy there. Um,
but they're
like
not as
some
deep
fans
anymore.
think, yeah, that's true. Who knows? Maybe they're gonna replace him with someone decent still. It's
Paul
hard to
George.
say.
Imagine
Yeah,
that happened. That'd
Denver.
be crazy.
Maybe they'll try to do some revival project type move. Um, we'll see. But yeah, definitely would be a huge loss for Denver if KCP does walk, and looks like that is gonna happen because I saw something about like Denver. I think it says something about Nuggets will not match a max contract or something because quite honestly they don't really have the money. It's unfortunate for them, but good for him. I guess he'll get the bag paid again, and I think that Philly would be a really good destination for sure. But I think that would be good for us to move on to the next player on our list, and that would be Clay Thompson. Um, so obviously we all know that Clay didn't really have a very good season this year. A lot of people questioning him, like, this guy done, completely washed, or who knows? Maybe he just needs to have a little change of scenery. Um, Honestly, I think that a change of scenery for sure would be helpful for him. Um, it seems like he wasn't happy with the way the Warriors treated him, I guess. So that's probably why he's looking on his way out. And like quite honestly, it would make sense if he were to stay with them, but for like his own good because like the way he obviously played for them his whole career, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Honestly, I think that obviously the Magic has been a team that's really linked to Klay Thompson because they have the money and they rumored to really want him. Um, Honestly, I think probably will be the Magic that will take their chance on the potential Klay Thompson redemption story.
I think that'd be an awful idea for the Magic. I mean, to be fair, they do need shooting, and Klay Thompson is known for his shooting, but he's been so inconsistent. I think in certain games he will like light up the box score and shoot like and make five threes in a game, but I feel like in the next game he'll have so many breaks. There'll be even more retirement homes in Florida. Like he is not the same Clay that he was when he was winning championships with KD and Steph. So I had a few options for him. I have one, retirement. Just end your legacy here. All right. And don't make it worse than it already is. Two, wherever the money lies. So he is definitely trying to get paid. Because this is probably his last opportunity to get paid. And that's the biggest reason why he's most likely not going to be a Warrior, because he's not going to get paid. And why would they pay him? I feel like Klay Thompson should just swallow his pride and just pull a Udonis Haslam. Just take a cheap deal and stay with the Warriors until you retire, until you call it quits. I feel like that's the best move for everybody. But he's too egotistical. He still believes he's a solid number two option. He still believes he's one of the best shooters in the world. You're not that guy anymore. So part of me wants to see him in China. Just get rid of him. And then, but like my real like NBA answer would be the Hornets. Not really because of his playing style, because like it's the Hornets. Like who cares about how well Clay is, because it's a disaster over there. The only reason why I want him in the with the Hornets, or why I think it makes sense, is like two reasons. One being that they'll have the money to pay him, and two, maybe he'll be like the veteran voice in the locker room that can get those like hooligans acting right. Because there's like it's a disaster over there. There, other than like Brandon Miller and maybe a few other players, like there's these guys are like, are they even basketball players? Like we still got Bridges on the team. What are we doing? LaMelo Ball is always either injured or like running over people with his cars. Like what's going on over there? It's like a disaster. So maybe Clay could be the veteran, and the leader that they need, but I'm sure he doesn't want to babysit either. So we'll see where he goes. I guess Magic, that was like the biggest rumor, but I don't like that idea for the Magic, honestly. So honestly, wherever the money is, the wherever the money lies is where he's going. That's my guess officially.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Definitely really up in the air there, I will say. But more than likely, not gonna return to the Warriors.
Yeah, the
Um.
end of the
That
dynasty
being said,
officially.
yep. Yeah. That being said, next player on the list, another guy that didn't really have the best of seasons last year, especially towards the end, and that being Tobias Harris. Um, so clearly Philly was really fed up with him at the end after his very poor playoff performance, and rightfully so, honestly. So I think it's safe to say he's not going to be back in Philly. Um, so where will he go? Honestly, I think that there's many ways that this could go. For example, if he were to be, let's say the Clippers were trying, or let's say the Sixers want to trade for Paul George, and maybe they'll send Tobias Harris back to the Clippers in the package, and that could be an option. Another thing could be, let's say free agency. He just gets assigned wherever he likes. Um, maybe maybe he just wants to get like an opportunity somewhere and he'll sign with a really bad team, like the Hornets or the Pistons. Um, Maybe if Clippers lose out on Paul George, they want to have some depth at the small forward position just to like ensure to get like whatever they can as a replacement. Maybe he can go there via like free agency signing. So that being said, I definitely had like a few different scenarios intact. Ultimately, I just said Tobias ends up back with the Clippers, which he played for practically 1 year. He was traded from the Pistons to the Clippers as a part of the Blake Griffin deal originally in 2018, and then he was traded to Philly as a cap cap freer move before the 2019 free agency, which eventually helped them land Paul George, helped them land Kawhi Leonard, and then trade for Paul George. So yeah, it could be potentially a full circle type move if he does end up back there. We shall see. But Memo, where do you think Tobias Harris is gonna end up?
Uh, I think it's a full circle moment as well, but not to the Clippers. I think to the Pistons. I feel like Tobias Harris has been disappointing year after year after year. So I don't think a contender are gonna want him on their team. I think they'll take the crumble cookie over him. So uh, I think Tobias will go to a not so good team for maybe some more money because he is a bag chaser at the end of the day. So that's why I'm saying the Pistons, which could use a Tobias Harris. He could be a good scorer, a good shooter. Um, Again, that's what they need over there because they got a lot of guards, they got a lot of players that can't shoot. So, in order to help out Cade Cunningham and get those assist numbers up, they probably need a guy like Tobias Harris to help out if he can. Well, we'll see if he could, but it's less lower stakes going to the Pistons than playing for a contender for Tobias. So I'm sure he'll be fine with the Pistons.
For sure. And honestly, I think after the disappointing finish he had in Philly, it would be best off he goes on a bad team to hopefully not be in the spotlight as much and to play with less pressure. Because some players they need that type to regain confidence after a down year.
Right.
But yeah, I think that leads us to our final 10th and final player on our list that we will go over, being Tyus Jones. Pretty good point guard. Obviously, all those years on the Grizzlies teams as the he was like a backup for Ja, and or did he start? Correct me if I was
He
wrong there,
was a
but I feel
backup.
like
I
he
remember watching those Grizzlies
backup,
games
right?
back then, and they will say, "This is the best point guard to come off the bench." Like every time he's on the court, they kept saying that, and it got really annoying.
For sure. Yeah, I thought he was a backup for Ja. Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, obviously he was most well known for being backup to Ja in Memphis, and then last year he was traded to the Wizards as part of um the deal for that. I think it was a part of that three-team deal that landed Porzingis in Boston and Marcus Smart in Memphis. So yeah, obviously the change up or to that team there, and then obviously he ended up with a very bad Washington Wizards team. And he had like his moments with like going off here and there, but he was practically a forgotten player because of how bad the team he played for. This year in free agency, I think definitely he will get paid decent. Probably would like to go back to a contending team potentially, or at least like a playoff contending team, even if not a championship contending team. Um, I think there's many good contending teams that need better like point guard depth, so there could be many potential matches. Ultimately, at the end, I think that a good team for him could potentially be the Spurs. Honestly, best move for them. Like Spurs, I think they will for sure be in the running for potentially a playoff spot this year, or at least a play-in spot, even if not a playoff spot. Um, Obviously, they did get Stephen Castle, who was a really good ad there, but knowing that he's a rookie, maybe add some veteran leadership here. Not a, I think that would be a cool move for a team like the Spurs that's trying to potentially make the next step. So definitely other teams that could be in the fold, but ultimately I think Spurs would be a good match. Um, Memo, where do you think Tyus Jones will end up?
I will say I do like the Spurs idea. Like with Castle, I feel like it's less necessary to sign Tyus Jones, but as he said, he could definitely help Castle with his development if he gets signed by the Spurs. I had some more contenders in mind just because I feel like they would want a player like Tyus Jones. I don't know how it will work financially, but at first I had the Mavs, but they recently got Quentin Grimes. They also were able to give an extension to Derek Jones Jr. So financially, I don't think they can do it, even though it will help another scoring option, another solid bench player is definitely something that the Mavs need. But let's send them to the Nuggets, especially with KCP most likely leaving. They lost Bruce Brown the other year. They're losing their depth, and they just got rid of Reggie Jackson for I believe some cash consideration. So why not sign Tyus Jones? I feel like this will help them with their depth issue at the moment. Because do we want what's his name, Braun, to be starting besides uh Jamal Murray? I don't think so. I feel like that's not the best move. So yeah, let's get Tyus Jones over there, help out the Nuggets a bit. But we'll see. Again, I don't know how that will work financially, but I feel like that would be a good fit.
Yeah, that could potentially be a fit there. Honestly, if the Nuggets are able to pull it off, sneaky good move right there. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And I believe that completes our list of the top 10 listed free agents and where we predict them to land. Um, and I believe that would bring us to our final segment, which is our now weekly spin the wheel.
Let's spin the wheel.
All right. So here is the spinning wheel, and per hour now for a while weekly segment, we are going to spin the wheel once again. For today, what we're gonna do is all-time non-all-star players draft, meaning that we can pick anyone that has played for the franchise all time as long as they have never made an all-star appearance. And per usual, the rule is if I took a guy already, then Memo cannot take him, or vice versa.
All right, sounds good. I believe I went first last week, so it's your turn, right?
Yeah.
Then let's spin that wheel. Again, no all stars can be chosen, and you got the Houston Rockets. So, who are you going with?
All right. Let me think this one for a moment.
This
Um.
is definitely gonna be hard this week.
Oh, for sure. Like trying to think of the top players that didn't make All Star appearances. Um. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think for a second here. Just to like remember who exactly was really good that didn't make All Star. Like obviously they have some really good players now that didn't make All Stars, but like I'm trying to think big picture.
Yeah,
Um,
I know one guy.
yeah, okay. Let me try to think if I can think of a guy. Um, hmm, no All Star appearance.
Let me just double check.
Double checking would definitely be a good idea also for this segment, I will say. Um,
Yeah, we can't like straight up Google non All Star Rockets, but we could double check if they've been an All Star or not. I feel like that's
yeah,
fair.
for sure. Like if you think of a player and then double check to make sure they didn't make it.
Hmm.
Um,
But yeah,
yeah, let me think.
the player I have in mind was not an All Star.
Did not make.
Yeah.
Okay, all right then. I must think real quick. Um, I do have a really good player in mind. Also, I just gotta like um. I think I need to also double check to make sure he didn't make it.
All right.
Matter of fact, I have like a few players in mind that I do not think made it, but I would like to confirm before I make my final decision.
All right. Quickly confirm
Um,
so we can get going. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised you haven't mentioned this guy already. The guy I'm thinking of.
well, yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't want to like prematurely say anything in case there's a better option I have.
Well, we gotta get this
Um,
going as well. So uh let's do what we need to do.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that honestly, for Rockets, I might go with honestly, I might go with Louis Scola. Louis Scola was
Whoa.
a really coded. He was really good for Rockets, and he did not make an All Star, but he did a lot of good for that franchise.
That's a cool pick. Like I've always liked him just because we had the same first name, not really because of how he played. Also his hair.
Yeah,
He had
but his
awesome hair.
name, yeah, his name was said a little bit different than yours though, like Louis instead of Luis.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
do you want to know who I was thinking of that you could have gone with?
Shane Battier,
No, Kenny Smith, who you chose last
Smith.
week. Yeah.
I actually didn't know that he never made an All Star. To be honest, I thought maybe he made one.
Yeah, I think he was snubbed like during his best season, but
Yeah,
during those like championship
that's
runs.
crazy.
But yeah, it's crazy. He was a snub.
Yeah, I did not expect him to like not make an All Star. Quite honestly.
So he wasn't in your radar
Yeah.
at all?
No, because I thought he made it. Honestly,
Oh, that's
so he
crazy.
wasn't on my radar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. My turn. I am spinning the wheel. I am actually very nervous. This is gonna be tough. Indiana Pacers. I got one person in mind. I think I might just go with it because during his prime, like he was actually like really good for the Pacers to the point where I even thought he might have had All Star potential, which ended up not happening. It was not even close after he left the Pacers. But you know what? Give me Lance Stevenson as my shooting guard.
Stevenson.
Yeah, in his prime, he
All right.
was a
It
solid
was good.
second guy or third guy for Paul George.
Okay.
Was there any other better options in your opinion?
Um, I don't know. That would be your opinion. You think it's better or not? Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. It like the main guys that I think of for Pacers are all stars. So I don't know, honestly.
Miles Turner would
Because
have been
like
good. Uh,
he would have, yeah,
I don't know how good Al Jefferson was for the Pacers, but for Charlotte, he was definitely a beast.
yeah,
But you know what? I'm fine with my pick. Maybe I should have gone with Miles Turner, but it is what it is. Are you ready for your turn?
yeah. All right, go for it.
The wheel is being spun. Ooh, the Pelicans. You know what? This might be good for this game because we both know that the Pelicans kind of suck when it comes to trying to pick all star caliber players, but there's a good amount of
Yeah,
role players.
yeah, some good amount of role players. Let me think real quick. So they have had a good amount of role players. Um, Honestly, let's see. Narrowing down options. That favorite of house. I think who options come to mind. Ultimately, honestly, I'm gonna go with Drew Holiday, the two-time NBA champion.
He's been an all star before though, not with the Pelicans, but like
Wait, was he an all-star?
twice.
He was, huh? I
One with
forgot,
Philly
honestly.
and one with the Bucks.
I actually didn't know he made one with Philly, to be honest.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I think the Bucks he was last year, right? Or the previous year.
yeah.
I completely forgot,
Would have been an
honestly.
insane pickup, but yeah, he
Yeah. The
was a
thing is, like,
two-time All Star.
he's so underrated that I thought he got robbed of it. Honestly, but I'm not shocked though. He deserved it. Honestly, then I think I'd have to go with CJ then.
CJ McCollum. Okay, I like that. I like that pick.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm spinning, and I'm getting the Miami Heat. Hmm. Okay. Well, I'm gonna try to think. Uh. Ooh. Okay. This is. I have a few options in mind. I could go with like a Tyler Hero who could score buckets like crazy. Um. And there's also who was I just thinking of? Uh. White Chocolate. Great ball distributor. Could be great for my point guard position. And the last guy I'm thinking of is Hassan Whiteside. In his prime, he could get a triple double with 10 blocks. I I'm leaning towards White Chocolate and Hassan Whiteside.
Okay.
Uh,
So which one?
I'm gonna go Whiteside just because I don't know how many centers I could think of. I'll be very disappointed if I land on the Hornets and can't get Al Jefferson. But Hassan Whiteside in this like prime for the Heat, it was insane. He definitely could have been an All Star in his prime. So I'll go with him.
All right. Hassan Whiteside is center for Memo.
All right, ready for your spin?
Go for it.
It's being spun. Ooh, Washington Wizards.
All right, let's see.
Hmm.
Let's think real quick.
I need to think as
There,
well. This one's tough.
yeah. Um,
Hmm.
and I definitely do need to double check on a few guys to make sure that they did not make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who do you have in mind?
Um, Honestly, I'm not gonna say it because I already know that they were all stars.
Oh, they were.
So I have to, yeah. Um, I'm trying to think of like Wizards players.
This one
Um,
is actually super tough.
it is, yeah. Um, shit. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I could think of one song. Actually, never mind. You got a center position filled up. Never mind.
The thing is, Louis Scola, I think he was more of a power forward,
Oh, was he?
but,
Did you put him as your power forward?
honestly, technically, I don't think I really specified which position I put him. Um, but I think his natural position was power forward, so yeah, I'll just put him at power forward.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I gotta think through real quick on those non All-Star players for Washington. Let's see. That didn't make All-Star. Um,
This is a trippy, not trippy, a tricky episode of Spin the Wheel.
it is, yeah. Um, yeah, okay.
As you're
Just trying
thinking,
to think.
let me tell everybody that like I'm gonna plan on making these Spin the Wheels like separate clips for YouTube, just so we could have like the chronicles of Spin the Wheel. So this would essentially be the fourth episode, but yeah, I'll try to get that done this week. Uh, I was able to make our top playoff performers segment from a few weeks ago into a clip as well. So, yeah, I recommend that. I think that was a good segment we did, and it ended up being a really good video. But yeah, have you figured it out? Have you found a person?
Um, there were a few guys that I thought about that turned out to be All-Stars.
No
So
way.
I, yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to narrow down my options,
Yeah,
should I
at this
say?
point, you gotta pick
Because
someone.
yeah,
Even if
I
they're
think I
both.
might have one. I might have one guy in mind.
All right, go check.
I have to make sure he didn't make it though.
Yeah, check, check, check.
So yeah, I think that at the end of the day, running out of options, I might just have to go with the tower, a new bow. Honestly,
Whoa. Is that your official answer?
why not? I mean, a lot of this was a tricky one.
That's a cool pick.
Uh, Okay, so there were a few guys I was thinking of. Okay, so obviously the more obvious guys that you think about when it comes to Wizards players, they made All Stars. like John Wall, Bradley Beal, Gilbert Arenas, Antoine Jameson,
Uh huh.
you name it. So then I thought of some other guys like Karan Butler. He made an All Star. Um, and then like Richard Hamilton played for the Wizards like very briefly, and even he made it. So um, that one couldn't be an option either. And then ultimately, I just thought, why not Manute Ball? Honestly, I honestly did not want to pick anyone from the current team because I just didn't think that anyone in the current team really was that good.
I'm like Kuzma could get you 20 a game. And maybe not the
Maybe, but he
most
was like
efficient,
quite.
but
Yeah, that's the thing.
you're gonna need that scoring if you have Luis Scola on your team. At first, I was thinking Marcin Gortat, but I think Manute Bol is a cooler pick.
Yeah. All right. I
All
think
right.
it's Memo's turn now.
Yeah, let me spin the wheel. It's being spun. And let's see who I get from the Cavs. Mm, Ari. Hmm. Okay, I'll try to think about it, but I'm trying to think of a player from the championship teams, but a lot of them were like pretty bad. Like I'm not choosing Mozgov. I'm not choosing Delvadova. Um,
Mod Shumpert, Richard
Marsh.
Jefferson. I think
Oh,
Richard Jefferson. I don't even know
he
honestly.
was a snub. He should have been with the Nets, but even if I go with him, it'll be like Cleveland version of Richard Jefferson, not Nets version. So
Yeah.
I shouldn't go with him. Channing Frye would have been cool, but again, it's not that good. With the Cavs, I mean he was solid, but not that good. Okay, I'm thinking of J.R. Smith. He was solid, but I already have a shooting guard. So you know what? I'll pick a guy who is probably gonna be in like defensive teams throughout his entire career. I'll pick Mobley, Evan Mobley.
I definitely saw that coming for sure.
Yeah, like I don't know. I can't think of a better person at the top of my head. Can you?
Not really. So probably would have made the same move, honestly, if I
Cool.
were in your situation.
All right. Ready for your wheel?
Go for it.
All right. The wheel has been spun. Oh, you almost got the Wizards again. That would have been crazy, but you got Golden State Warriors, so you're good. You're good.
Yeah. All right. So, let's see. Warriors non All-Star players. Hmm. Because a lot of they did have some really good players, and a lot of them did make the All-Star. There were a few guys that were pretty good, I will say, that didn't make it. Um, let's see. All right. Thinking through these options real quick before I officially make a decision. And looking one more time at my positional needs. Um, okay.
Let me double check the guy I'm thinking of was an all star or not.
Yeah, I need to double check the guy I'm thinking of, or guys, shall I say. Um,
All right, what you got?
Yeah, just making sure these guys didn't make it.
All right, the one guy I thought of was not an all star, and was solid for the Golden State
Okay.
Warriors. So let's see if he picked the person
Yeah.
I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Um. All right. So for me, I'm gonna have to go with Monte Ellis as
Yeah,
shooting guard.
that's who I would have gone. Good pick.
Yeah.
Good pickup.
Another. Yeah. Another backup option I thought was Jason Richardson, but then, yeah, Monte was a little bit
He was
better.
never an all star?
He wasn't. No.
What? Oh, okay. I thought
I
you
know.
he was. I,
Jason Richardson and Monte, I was a little bit like back and forth on, but yeah, I just went with
okay.
Monte.
If I knew
I think Monte
Richardson wasn't an all
probably,
star, I would have gone with him.
yeah, it's definitely like a 50-50 for me there.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Alright. The wheel is being spun. I've got two positions left, point guard, small forward, and I got the Wizards! No way. You know what? Give me Kuzma. Like,
So,
I'd rather have Kuzma than,
okay,
like,
I mean,
Jordan Poole.
you need a small forward, so it came in handy.
Yeah, I mean, I could go Nick Young. Like, he was good during the Wizards run, but it's
Yeah,
like the same
he
player
was
almost.
underrated on the
Sorry, what?
Wizards. He was underrated on the Wizards.
Yeah, yeah. I liked him as a Laker, but I'll take Kuzma. Kuzma as my small forward. So you got one more. We both have one more position left, right?
Yep.
So let's spin that wheel. I hated doing that, but it is what it is. And you got the Phoenix Suns.
All right. So,
Oh, I didn't even
let's see.
show the screen, but yeah, Phoenix Suns.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the position you're looking for?
Actually, small forward.
Okay.
So, um, actually, I have a guy in mind already. Um, so just now for the Warriors, I mentioned Jason Richardson as an option. Well, he actually played for the Suns also,
You're right.
and he was so. I'm gonna go ahead and just make things more simple and not extend the process. And I'm gonna go with Jason Richardson as my small forward.
That is a great pickup. That actually worked out
Yeah,
perfectly
but I
for
had
you.
a little bit of a debate on who I wanted to take for the Warriors, and now I ended up being able to take both of them.
That
So it
that was
worked out in my
perfect
favor.
for you. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And granted, like who knows? Maybe there was another guy who didn't make an All Star that could have been better for the Suns, but I'm okay with it, even if there was.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. I think that was a good pickup.
Yeah, give everyone's time.
All right, let's see if I could get a solid point guard. Houston Rockets. Okay, I guess give me Kenny Smith, who'll be my point guard.
Okay.
All right, and those are our lineups. That is it. For spin the wheel. Do you wanna share your team first?
At point guard, I got CJ McCollum. At shooting guard, I got Monte Ellis. At small forward, I got Jason Richardson. At power forward, I got Louis Scola. And at center, I got Manute Bol.
And for me, I got Kenny Smith as my point guard, Lance Stevenson as my shooting guard, Kyle Kuzma for my small forward, Evan Mobley for my power forward, and Hassan Whiteside as my center. I don't know who won this one. This one's tough
Yeah,
to say.
it's hard for me to judge, honestly. I think that overall both rosters are like pretty good. I feel like I feel like for me, probably the weak link would be Manu, honestly. Like his height, and he was pretty good, but he seemed to be like one of the lesser guys from the list.
I think
And then
both of
for
your big
you,
men is like questionable.
what's up?
I feel like both of your big men are like questionable. Like Luis Scola was
I
solid, but
mean,
like yeah, you could live
yeah,
without him.
yeah. But I'm okay with him too, honestly. Um, and then for you, I feel like Kuz might be the weak link, honestly. Or Lance. But the thing is like even then, like those guys were not bad, so
Yeah,
yeah. I guess one thing that's safe to say is like we both have like three pretty good guys and then two more iffy guys.
I guess yeah.
Yeah. All right then. Viewers, if you guys have any opinion, feel free to tell us who you guys think had the better lineup this week. And
That's it.
we intend to do probably at least one more edition of Spin the Wheel, one of the coming weeks, depending on how the time factors in.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was our episode. We actually had quite a haul of stuff to cover this
it was a
episode, and
lot.
it covered a lot longer than expected, honestly. But we're glad to keep on entertaining. Obviously, a lot of cool like NBA news that went down this week was trades, and then the draft happening. And then we wanted to add in a little cool little twist right before free agency with some of the top free agents and predicted destinations. So adding some extra stuff there. And then, of course, our ongoing series of the Spin the Wheel. As always, fun times doing these episodes. Glad to entertain you guys. Hope you guys continue to like our content. Please, if so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment, and view all of our. You can also listen to us on Spotify for audio version, and then please make sure to check out our TikTok page and our YouTube Shorts as Memo has been adding more content. Definitely keep an eye on there and look forward to what's to come. Obviously, free agency is going to be starting on Sunday, and then the Summer League, and then the Olympics. Anything you would like to add on, Memo?
Yeah, just thank you guys for checking out our content and whether you're subscribed to the YouTube, following us on the podcast platforms, following us on our social medias. We really appreciate it. We have had some growth with this channel, not anything crazy, but it's still exciting, like seeing how much this channel is growing. Even though again, it's not nothing big, nothing extreme, but every subscriber that subscribes is it makes me happy. It makes me feel like we're doing something right here, because it's tough to grow on YouTube, especially since there's like 1,000 like NBA podcasts, and there's still people that are willing to check out our little podcast, check out our shorts, check out our TikToks. So it's cool to see. But yeah, we got more content on the way. Should be exciting, especially since we got like more unique ideas out there that we are willing to try out during the off season. So I hope you guys stay tuned. But I think that's it for us. So thank you all for watching. Goodbye.